Good afternoon, folks. This is H0 here, back with TV reviews this time, or whatever you want to call it. This one is an anime definitely anime classic. This is Street Fighter 2 V. This is the Street Fighter animated series that never pretty much wasn't aired in America at the time when it came out. It eventually you know, got on American television, technically on cable, like a little bit later. I first found out about this series. I think it was around like 2004, 2005. It was on the cable channels like Action and Wham and all that. And they eventually put it on Sci-Fi, the Sci-Fi channel on the anime block. There's only like one season of this. I think it's only like 27 something episodes, but it's a very good series. Well, I'm saying that now. And plus, I found it at Walmart at a decent price. It was like a rare find at the moment when I went and I nabbed it, and I think it was at a good price too. That's why I picked it up. But yeah, this pretty much came out, I think, before Street Fighter Alpha 1, so it was still stuck around the lore of Street Fighter 2. And I remember in high school, of course, a lot of hardcore Street Fighter fans, they didn't, at my high school and a little bit in college too, they did not like this series. And I think it's because you look at the Street Fighter lore now and it's so big and it's so evolved that you look back on this like, what the hell were they thinking? But, me being a storyteller and looking at the film and TV aspect, you got to ask yourself, is the series good even without the lore? So if this was a completely original series, would you still watch it? And I'm going to get to that later with another movie that just popped in my head. Well, you guys will know, because I know some people are probably going to tear me apart in the comment section when they watch that one, and probably in this one too. But the funny thing is that I went online and I think I saw, or I think I even talked about it on my page, or I remember vaguely seeing it, that a lot more people did like this series because, they just didn't throw this and mishmash it together. They actually gave a reason why Ryu and Ken went around the world, and it was pretty much like the video game of this Street Fighter 2 video game, where you beat an opponent, and then it showed the plane going over, to another continent, and then you had to fight that opponent. So give them credit on that, and how and the fighter that had got them to do it, which was Guile. And I'm not going to spoil that much in the story, more talk about this overall. And then bit by bit you see some of the characters from the game appear in the series. The funny thing is that all of the Street Fighter 2 characters don't appear in this. I think E Honda, DJ, and Blanca and T-Hawk are the ones that you don't see. Pretty much everybody else, their counterparts you do see, and even the ones they don't fully flesh out, or they put title cards next to them of saying who it is. So like when Guile or Dawson or fei-long are introduced, it'll put their name up there. But Guile's friend Nash appears in here, but he doesn't look like the Nash that you see in Alpha and today, because at the time we only knew of Charlie through Guile's, backstory. And but to me personally, the Charlie design in here isn't that bad. He looks like Gene Reno. I may be saying his name wrong, from Leon the Professional. And I didn't really catch on to it till like the third time I cycled through the series and I watched it again. And then Akuma has a couple cameo appearances, but he's not really referenced, or he's not even a main enemy, I guess, because they didn't see him much of being a popular character at the time like he is now. And plus, I think his character was just introduced, so they didn't have that much lore on him. And what was the other character? Oh, Damned from I think he was in Final Fight, and I didn't catch on to this one until much later, because recently what was that I'm trying to think off the top of my head, what was that Final Fight character that was just released with Street Fighter 5? I think his name was Abigail. And I started looking into it because I noticed they were putting I noticed bit by bit more of the Final Fight characters are being put into the games, like Ultra Street Fighter 4. You had Poison and Hugo. Well, Hugo's been there since Third Strike, but Poison was a brand new one. And then they just put Relento in there as well, and it was somebody else. But anyway, more of the Final Fight characters are showing up, and then I think Damned was a boss character. But the funny thing is that the way the series had portrayed him in this, he didn't look like what he did on the game. And two, he was technically Chinese. In Final Fight, I think he was American. Yeah, because it's like, or I could be wrong about him being Chinese. Well, they were in Hong Kong, but he looked more Americanized. He was a big dude with a mohawk and a couple scars on his face. Again, you can debate or we can discuss in the comments. And two characters called Sodom and Gomorrah are in here. Technically, it's a Christian, reference or Judeo. Would correct my terminology. I am talking off my head, but it's a reference to those two cities. But ironically, when Alpha had came out, there was a character called Sodom who was in Final Fight as well, and he looked like a Japanese football player with two sides. That's how I like to describe him. But there was some other couple notes too. The way Ryu has his Ryu and Ken have their Hado abilities. When the series is first started, they don't have it at all. They're just portrayed as traditional martial artists. It's assumed by karate. But the episode that I'm currently watching now, because I recorded this later, this isn't the first episode of the title screen that you see. I think, Ryu, he discovers the Hado when he goes to Hong Kong and he sees an old man, practice a medical version of it. And bit by bit throughout the later episodes, he is eventually lured to Dalsim. Well, first he encounters Sagat, who gives him the information. Then he's lured to Dalsim, who teaches him the way of the Hado. But the catch was he doesn't know how to use it as a martial art. He only knows how to use it as a medical healing factor. Ryu eventually learns on his own to do it, with some practice, and Ken eventually somewhat accidentally does it. They really didn't flesh out more of how Ken had did it. He did it when Bison had captured him, and he did the Shin Shoryuken through the roof of the Shadowloo compound. So they kind of rushed that, but of course Ryu's like the main character, so they're going to focus more on him. But some of the character relations I liked in here is that, or some of the mod changes, Balrog was severely changed. They didn't show him much more of a boxer. They showed him much more of a infiltrator from Shadowloo. When Chun-Li's dad, Dorai, is seeping on the information, and then eventually he puts a hit out on her. And also, ironically, Chun-Li's father, Dorai, is a dominant main character versus an actual series where he's dead. And then, that's Chun-Li's main motivation to destroy Bison. But here he has like a lot of, he has a good amount of screen time. And he's a very, good fleshed out character, support character. But that was one semi change to the game, dealing with Balrog. And then Vega is pretty much like 18 years old, and they stuck with the Matador thing in here. That's how it was introduced. And then later he has cage matches where he's killing people. So that was a nice little nod to him from the game. And what was another change? Sagat. The more and more I looked at it, and especially where the Street Fighter series is at now, I appreciate the relationship of Sagat and Ryu in this. So again, I'm not going to get any spoilers of how Ryu and Sagat meet, but it's technically in a prison in this incarnation, and they end up having respect for one another. Most people in the series, they know them of their rivalry, and in the beginning it was hot-blooded, boiled, because Ryu did that Metsu Shoryuken, put that scar on Sagat's chest, and not to mention another practitioner of his fighting art took out his eye. But after a while, they began to have a respect for one another, And even in the main story, it's revealed that Sagat only joined Shadaloo to find, Ryu and challenge him. He could have cared less about what Bison was doing. And I think later on in the story, he leaves Shadaloo, because he knew what he was planning to do, especially with the Ryu, and he didn't want that happening. So, and even Ryu in the series, he said that he is the one fighter that had him motivationally think, differently as a fighter, in the arena. And again, it's more like they kind of try to turn it into a frenemy relationship. Yeah, but it's not heat-blooded, rivalry, or nemesis like it is with Guile and Bison. So, that was one change I did like. I appreciated it a little bit more, I should say. And then it was another change that I'm thinking that they also did, another relationship change, or encounterment, whatever you want to call it. I'm thinking real hard because I know it was something else I wanted to say. Oh, with Dalsim, when he was teaching, they use this thing called the Cave of Wonder when they go to India. And I like the mythos on that too, because there's some treasure in there as well. And it gives you an optical illusion, and that's how, Ryu learns the whole Hado thing. So I did like that change as well, and it kind of also stuck to the roots of Dalsim a little bit as well. He was, he's an Indian monk, or they called him a witch doctor or whatever you want to call it. So I did like that as well. Oh, I know what it was that I want to talk about. They changed Cammy a little bit too. She doesn't look much more like her video game counterpart, which some of the other characters really don't. Even Sagat, because he has that traditional Muay Thai headband around his head, even though he doesn't wear it. Adon, that's more Adon's alley. But Cammy doesn't wear the skimpy outfit. She actually wears, a believable assassin's outfit. And she's not brainwashed either. But I guess this is before the whole, lure of Street Fighter had, started to get fleshed out. So that was a decent also change. Yeah. She still has the blonde hair and the green eyes and all that, but it's just that I remember one of my friends, he was a hardcore Cammy fan in high school, and he hated the way she looked. And I was like, looking at it now, it's not that much of a big deal to me. Yeah. So to me, it's like I said before, is it still a good story without the lore? Yeah, but at the same time, they didn't jack it up and just, put a whole bunch of stuff together just to make and slap Street Fighter on the name on it just to sell stuff. Trying to think really, really hard what else to talk about. They had two different openings for this as well. There's a Japanese opening, and then there's the American one, which has this it's like the guy is shouting out Street Fighter, like, in the opening. So that's another little bit of a difference. I'm kind of curious to know what the Japanese version of this looks like, because I recently had heard about that too. But yeah, this is a pretty decent series. I know some of the episodes are out here on YouTube, so you should pretty much check them out if you're a Street Fighter fan or not. It was just the way the story structure was done was really, really good. And yeah, talk to you guys later. Peace.